Okay, we got it.
57. But that's with us. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5. So Ken, you have to be good at the mathematics now.
I know. I'm doing it now, you know. Okay.
So we have 33 already.
Yeah, 33.
Other options.
We have 38, and here we have 5 already. The speakers and the moderator.
So 38, 33, yeah.
Yeah, 33.
No, there's somebody coming in. It's good, the sound. I mean, the sound seems to be working quite well. Mm. 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 So we just have to KT. Okay, that's really good. That's really good. Yeah, yeah.
So now can we start? Okay, I think we can start now.
So sorry, Miss. I think that we have to stop live stream now because we use the same live stream with the opening.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So I will stop live stream now.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Mm-hmm.
And then?
So I stop. Yeah.
And then what should I do?
I don't know. Yeah.
It's
Let me see
recording
what.
anyway.
So with the opening ceremonies, they use room 1, right? So we have 59 already.
59.
I will start now. Should I live stream Mr. Khánh Bùi? So good morning, our speakers and participants. Welcome to the virtual VTSO International Convention 2021. On the behalf of the organizing committee, we'd like to thank you so much for your participation and contribution to our annual convention success. And thank you for making this convention happen. My name is Nguyễn Đức Ân from Tây Bắc University. And joining with me today is Ms. Đinh Mai Anh from Vinh University as a moderator. We are delighted to see all of you virtually today, especially in this convention workshop. We do hope that all of you will be able to have some valuable knowledge and experience as takeaways following the workshop. We wish you all a very productive, interesting, and fun day. Before the workshop, there are a few considerations. In case you have any questions or concern about the workshop, please feel free to leave them into the chat box so that we can gather the questions for the easy response in the Q&A session. And you are muted when our speakers are presenting. We are glad to welcome Professor Ruth Harmon and her co-presenters in this workshop on youth civic engagement. Ruth Harmon is a professor in the Language and Literacy Department at the University of Georgia in Athens, Georgia. She comes from Dublin, Ireland, and has been involved in running and teaching in ESL and EFL programs for the past 25 years. She is involved in youth leadership programs around the city of Athens. She has published extensively about using systematic, functional, linguistic, and culturally sustaining approaches when working with bilingual and bidialectal youth. Her latest publications are an edited volume, Bilingual Learners and Social Equity, Critical Systematic Functional Linguistics and her book Culturally Sustaining EFL Practice in Multilingual Youth. And her co-worker, Mr. Khánh Bùi and Ms. Đặng Thị Cẩm Tú. Đặng Thị Cẩm Tú is a lecturer in the Department of English, University of Foreign Languages, Huế University. She is currently pursuing her PhD studies in TESOL and World Language Education at University of Georgia. Khánh Bùi is currently a PhD candidate at the University of Georgia. His research interests are systematic functional multimodal discourse analysis, multimodality, and teaching maths to English learners. So now welcome all of you to the workshop entitled Youth, Civic Engagement and Multimodality, delivered by Professor Ruth Harmon and her co-workers, Mr. Khánh Bùi and Ms. Đặng Tú. Please welcome.
Thank you so much. I am going to share my screen now. Once so we'll share screen. I'm so happy to be here with all of you, and just share this. I want to make sure I did the sound there. Hopefully I did the sound. No, yeah. Actually, let me just check one thing. I just want to make sure that the sound is. Let me just stop sharing more time. Sorry about that. The sound. Share sound. Okay, excellent. Okay. So, sorry, it's just, yeah, so hold on a second. Just, yeah, I think we're okay now. So can everybody see is everybody okay? Are you able to see, Cam? Can you see the whole, okay, excellent. Okay, very good. So we're, very happy to be here with you today. And we hope that this can be a very, useful session for all of you and for us. I'm sorry that we cannot be in Vietnam. It would be so nice to be doing this in person, but we're just so excited to have you all here today. I've already been introduced. So my name is Ruth Harmon, and with me are my wonderful collaborators. Can, do you want to say something?
Yeah, good morning, everyone. So it's very nice to be here today to do the workshop with everyone with my advisor, Dr. Ruth Harmon. So I'm very happy to be here with everyone today. Yeah.
Two.
Sorry, Tu, we cannot hear you, Tu. Sorry, Tu, we cannot hear you.
Good morning, everyone. Can you hear me now?
But there's an echo.
Try now.
So should I?
Oh, I think that's good.
Okay, so no, but now we're out of that. Okay. Sorry about this.
Should I go to another one?
Now we're out of the slides.
What do you want?
Hi, should I go to another one?
That's awesome. Okay, everyone. So while we're waiting for the audio, while you're waiting for the presenters, yeah, could you please tell me like, how are you today? How do you feel today? You can type in the chat, or you can type in the chat like, how do you feel today? Are you excited for the conference? Yeah, can you help me to type in the chat like you're feeling today for the first day of the conference, for the first day of the convention? How are you? Oh, so excited. Yeah, I see a lot of things. Yeah, you're all excited. I'm excited too. Well and eager. Awesome. Yeah.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Okay, so let's again. So where's gone? Hold on a second. So you keep calm, you know, you can be talking to people.
Okay, sure.
Sorry, hold on.
Yeah, everyone is nice. That's good.
I don't know why it's not viewed properly.
Awesome. Yeah, excited. Awesome. And can you also let us know like where you're from? So for example, you're from Vietnam, you're from other country as well. So because I saw some people from other country as well. So you can also like let people in the room know like where are you or which part of Vietnam are you in now? Yeah. Oh, we saw one from Cambodia. That's nice.
I'm just going to, I'll just say this and just, yeah. Okay. Yeah, sorry. Okay, so everybody is seeing, so can everybody see the screen?
Yeah, we can see
Yes,
that.
Yes.
yes.
That's good.
Why don't you sit here just in case there's any problem? Okay, sorry about that. We are so happy to be here with you today. And so we know already that, that you are doing a lot of work, community projects, extracurricular activities using drawing and storytelling and exhibitions and singing and dancing in Vietnam. That but there's usually a focus just on English and not other content. And so we hope today we can have wonderful discussions about how our work in the US and your work in Vietnam can connect to each other. So that's kind of something that we're really interested in looking at. So in the US, because of STEM, you know, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, there are new standards that have put a focus on inquiry approaches. So using modes, using multiple modes, investigations in supporting bilingual EFL and ESL students in knowledge, in generating their knowledge. And so very importantly, we have to think in 21st century classrooms and workplace, how do we support our youth in becoming multimodal designers of new knowledge? And so we're going to lead you through a workshop where you're going to be thinking of modes and how you can add them into your work, you know, into your classrooms. And please feel free, by the way, to be, you know, putting questions or comments in the box. We're just very happy to be here. And so we want this to be as much a dialogue as possible. So our approach is very much about providing a dynamic environment that encourages learners to draw on all these different modes to make meaning in disciplinary and community contexts. And we do this by using kind of a teaching learning cycle where we're using different materials, different modes, and gradually the students are becoming aware of how to use this for their own voices, to raise their voices. So the whole purpose is to support youth in multimodal composing, in using all of these different modes in their argumentation or whatever other genre that they want to use. Everybody okay? We're okay? Excellent, okay. So the key tenets that we have in the work we do is, first of all, using modes. And what I mean by a mode is, for example, gesture can be a mode. So it's a ratified communicative resource. So thinking about how they use them, thinking about how bilingual learners, EFL learners, ESL learners can use these modes and build genres of argumentation, reporting, and explaining for their own social and political purposes. And so I think an important part of the work that we want to talk to you today about is providing audiences that youth would find of importance to them in the work they do. And we're going to show you some of this, and then we're going to have you come through a workshop where you're doing it, and I hope we can have lots of dialogue while we're doing this. So for example, in our work, so we are working with learners who speak Spanish, sometimes Chinese, but mostly Spanish in our area. So they speak another language, so they're learning ESL. And we start out by always thinking about storytelling, photography, thinking about your environment. And then we use the modalities of mapping, drawing, building designs, so that the youth can start thinking about new spaces in their environment, new things that they want to bring in. What do the youth want? What do these young people want? And how can we use language and other modes for them to fulfill these visions? We also then look at the genre that will help them get ready to talk and argue for a new feature, a new design in their schools. And so we in the case of this, of what we're showing you today, we're looking at argumentation. And so they're using all of these different modes, they're mapping, they're drawing, they're building designs on computer and also physically are walking around. And then they're using all of these materials to make arguments for their new vision to an audience, for example, the principal of the school or a city administrator, if it's really about a city that you're looking at. So it depends on the context. So we find this very important, important part. So this is kind of like a cycle of setting the context, deconstructing and thinking about, okay, how can you become an urban designer? And then thinking about how can you use argumentation to build new spaces. So this is how we position our youth. Multimodal composing, there's a lot of recent research that's highlighted how multimodality supports EFL and ESL learners to do problem solving, translanguaging, and disciplinary literacy in more nuanced ways. So it's a sense that the modes support a fuller expression of meaning. And so if we only use reading and writing, it's taking away some of the affordances of these other modes that can really help. Another thing that's very important to think about in multimodal composing, you can have youth drawing from image, gesture, spoken word, sound, movement. and they're using all of this to support them in generating and understanding new knowledge. And importantly then, you're thinking about what genre, like for example, explanation, description, what genres will help the youth to continue to use their language and their multimodality to affect change in a local way. And what's important about this is we're positioning our youth as leaders, as people who have something to share. And so we're providing them with the multimodalities to do that. So here is an example of the work we've done. So in multimodal composing, and you can do this whatever you're teaching, you know, and so I'd like you to be thinking of your own classrooms and what you can do in terms of thinking about this. So here we start with something simple, like telling a story. So telling stories about like, okay, a place in the school or a place in your community. And then from there, we teach the youth and anyone else, community people who are in with us in the space. We use mapping to go around the school and to start thinking about like what's missing and what's there in the school. And then we use building blocks, paper, materials, digital resources to actually design new resources for the new space. And then working in groups, people build a 3D model of their favorite item that they're going to argue for in front of someone important to them. And so then finally, in kind of a theatrical performance, they use their 3D model. They use the argumentation that they have developed and all of the thinking that's gone through all of these different multimodal activities to make very strong argumentation in front of the audience. And so we find this important. So you're thinking, importantly, what you're thinking about here is you don't start with a very complicated mode. You start with something very simple. Storytelling, for example, is just something that people have access to, and really, you know, everyone tells stories all over the world. So starting with storytelling, and then gradually it becomes a little bit more complicated as we continue. So here we have pictures of some of our youth sharing stories about their school, their environment. And we especially also encourage here, because we want to build a participatory approach. We don't want this hierarchy of I'm the teacher, this is the student. So we're building community. And in this community, there is translanguaging. People choose whatever language they feel most comfortable with. And then they grow in this, and they see how, for example, in the EFL context, using Vietnamese, using Hmong language, using whatever languages, and also English, and connecting all of this is important. So you can see some of our youth building knowledge here. Then this is an example. We invite urban planners to come in to support the youth in thinking about how to map and survey a property. So you're getting people, I think what might be important to be thinking about, you're getting people to do. And so they're doing the surveying, they're learning how to look at a building and what's in the building, what's not there. And so they start mapping their area. And this is important because the youth members feel empowered because they are drawing the maps and their vision is being acknowledged. And so I think this is important to be thinking about. I hope I'm not going too fast. I'm okay, Cam? Okay, thank you. So here we're going to, sorry, I just stopped this for a second. Here we're going to actually show you a video of our youth and some adult members of our community walking around the school and negotiating what that space is. And what you will notice is in this case, there is a lot of negotiation of language. So it's a very language rich and multimodal and embodied environment. So kind of our Maverick.
Why is there not like city? Oh, it's open space. You could write in urban. Well, I don't think it's urban. Yeah. So like, is it residential? Do you see any houses or apartments?
Are we doing just this space right
Do
here?
you guys want to talk like as we walk around
Yeah,
so we can see more of this room?
Yeah.
Hi, I don't think it's undeveloped. What is natural? I mean, I know what it means, but like, what is like land natural? Like a forest or like a bog?
But like, yeah, you can circle all of them, but like all that is like. Alright, but we can go. I mean, we can probably go inside though if you get.
It's okay.
We can walk around and then go inside maybe.
I just don't know what. Okay, so like,
Natural would be like nature. So think like trees, plants. So like over there is natural, but like these bushes, they're nature, but someone like planted them. They're very clearly like
so for
supposed to be.
rural.
So I would put, I don't know, I think like, cause it's a little bit rural, but
I would say all of them.
field.
Like in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you see
I would
residential?
totally do all of them.
Residential? Like, do you see houses? Or, I mean, not right here.
There's
It's
stuff
school.
over there though.
Those are
What is
those
it?
are factory things. Those are.
Okay, so I think what you can see here is that there's a lot of negotiation of meaning. And so it's a very rich space for both language learning and also using other modes so that the students are feeling very invested in the activities because it's a real activity that they're doing. They are learning how to look at their school in a different way. And so this is kind of an important part of our work so that the youth then are thinking about, okay, so how would I change this space? In the next approach, in the next, we're just giving you examples here. You could have other very different modes, but these are some of the modes we've used. You can start thinking about drawing and modeling. Okay, so let's see what type of artifact, what would I bring into this community? And so here you have some examples of kids building a whole design of a water park. You have one example in the middle, which is quite interesting, is this is a very poverty-stricken town. We live in a high poverty town. And one thing that community members need to do is they have to go to a food bank sometimes to get food because they do not have enough food. And so the children in our workshop one year, they designed a water park and you can see there's the food bank and then there's a water park so that the children would have some place to play while their parents are getting the food. So you can see that the children can be very creative and also imaginary, changing space. So they're changing the spaces. And so it's something that I think we need to think about listening to. And it also, again, when you think of it, leads to a lot of explanation, So a lot of different genres are being used as they explain, as they negotiate, as they draw, and as they design. So there's a very rich, language-rich environment, and then the multimodality is making it a real space for the kids. So here, and Can is going to explain this to you in a second, but here you have some of the artifacts that some of our youth used. For example, in one of our programs, the children wanted to have the youth in this particular group. They wanted to have new signage in their school, and they also wanted a fence around the school because they felt it wasn't very safe. And Can, I'm going to just hand it over to Can for a minute.
Yeah, sorry everyone. So for this session, so Dr. Harman would like me to explain a little bit in Vietnamese so that you can know the context a little bit. Yeah. Ở đây các thầy cô thấy thì ví dụ như chúng ta có cái marquee á, các thầy cô thì ở cái trường của Mỹ thì ở ngay cái đầu vào trường á, thì hay có cái marquee là giống như là cái bảng ở trước trường. Thì ở các bạn ở trước trường này có thể có những cái thông báo của trường, ví dụ như là ngày học sinh nghỉ hay là ngày học sinh vào học hay là những cái ngày mà lễ của trường thì đều được thể hiện trên cái bảng này hết. Thì ở cái trường mà cô Ruth đang làm á, thì hiện tại là chưa có cái bảng này, nên là các bạn học sinh là muốn có cái bảng này để các bạn biết thông tin, cũng giống như là để thông báo cho các bạn những cái bạn nào nổi trội, những cái bạn nào tốt thì cũng được thể hiện trên đây. Thank you everyone. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. So now the youth have something that they want to share. They want to make changes in their environment. And so then this is the time for them to think about what genre do they need for that specific, what kind of language do they need, so they can persuade their adult, their audience about this. And so at this point in time, we teach and think about argumentation, the genre of argumentation, thesis statement, argument, evidence, argument against, evaluation, and all of the kind of the words you use there. So it's being used, but instead of it just being a school exercise, the youth are seeing it as important social action, language as social action. So it's within this context that we introduce the language, the different genres that they will need to perform a really convincing argument or explanation to whoever that audience you have decided to bring into the mix. So in the example that we're looking at today in terms of the marquee and of the fence, essentially the team members, so there is a team, so you know the youth, and we always bring some adults in. I would really encourage all of you to be thinking of having community members coming in and helping if that's possible. But so the team members, they thought about benefits, costs, and disadvantages of their new design. And then they spent time writing this up, as you can see on the right, you know, really thinking about the different stages of the genre. And then they rehearsed it before they performed their argument in front of the school principal. So here we're going to listen to Anthony argue in front of the principal and in front of all of his peers, you know, of the, can I do this? I can't really do this full screen, can I? Yeah, it's okay. Keeps yeah, sure.
Yeah. Okay.
What's happened there? Okay, sorry about that, lads. Sorry, go back. Yeah. Sorry, excuse me. Start again.
Yeah. Check this into me. I'm gonna write my friends in the marquee. I was have to overdo like a non-petty. G. Okay, let's talk about offense. First, we would like to show my right or my shady bench. So let's talk about the benefits and investments. The marquee is gonna be electric. The fences for protection around the civic section. The marquee also gonna show the students emphasis sexes. Okay, yeah. What's school announcement? Students are ready. We keep on pressing. Physical cost. How much? 3 to 5,000. But cancel your doubts because we got the girls and boys, y'all. Yeah.
Sorry about that. I didn't have the transcript on there. So you can see that they're very invested in their argument, and also they have chosen how to represent the argument. They are using rapping because that's something that they want, and they, you know, the kind of like the rhythm and the music of it. So they have also chosen artistically how they want to argue for their new features for the school. In the next slide, what you're going to hear is you're going to see the principal responding to the arguments that these youth have made. They have all brought, if you can see in this slide, you can actually see that they have brought the marquee, their kind of 3-dimensional picture, or, you know, model of the design that they have, and they all have brought these designs. And so in the next slide, we'll hear the principal responding to this. No, it's just the next. Okay, excellent.
Thank you for the plant. The ideas, we hopefully in the fall or when the school comes all back together, we will have a digital marquee. I'm definitely going to work on that. I'm going to talk to Ms. Haruka tomorrow to ask her if she's picked out the furniture yet, to make sure that we have some bean bags, sofa, a lounge. If we don't, if we're not able to, and maybe we're able to put up strips so that we can showcase artwork in the media center. I'm hoping it's big enough. We want it to be inviting, and the things that you have presented will help it to be inviting. And then lastly, I'm going to work on the track around the school. So you have definitely started my little wheels to turning, and I usually don't let up very easily. So now I'm going to meet with Mr. Dunnigan tomorrow. And I'm gonna get some names and I can get you guys. I usually try to meet with the contractors once a week. So I probably won't meet this week because of testing, but next week, I need about 3 representatives, and you can come with me when I talk to Mr. Dunn.
So I think what we want to highlight here is that the principal listened to the arguments not as an adult, but as someone who could be convinced of the importance of changing. So she did change. She helped the youth. The library became much more of a youth center, and they put up the digital marquee. So what's very important here about this is that the youth see that the language and multimodality that they're using is being recognized. And so having authentic audiences for our work, our meaning making, and our multimodal composing is a very important part of all of this. So this is.
Thank you for the plant. The ideas,
Sorry, I'm repeating myself there. So the next one is. It keeps on. Yeah. Okay. Sorry about that. So let's kind of sum up here before we start going into, because this is a workshop, this is not just us just talking up here. So key things to be thinking about. And so you can do this in whatever area you're in. If you're teaching literature, if you're teaching history, if you're teaching science, if you're teaching language, you can think. So think about what are the key genres? Is it storytelling? Is it argumentation, explanation, description? What kind of genres do your students need? What do they need? What do they need to use? And then think about a multimodal rich environment that's thought out well and that encourages them to draw on all available resources, material, digital, linguistic, cultural, to make meaning in these genres. And importantly, it's important to think of our youth as agents of their learning. So they're not passive, but they are agents, dynamic agents of their learning. And this is very important for, I think, 21st century workplaces as well. And then thinking about a valued audiences for the student performances so that students feel that they're being listened to outside of the classroom and they're the usual, the usual teachers that they're expecting. Sorry, okay, keeps on, sorry, I'm over one. So I don't know why it keeps on doing that. Sorry, lads. The slide before, sorry. That's it. Yeah, so now we have finished. We're going to have a little time for question and answer before we come to the next, to the next. So I don't know whether there are any questions there for us to answer. Do the moderators want to?
So hi everyone, so after listening to the first section, like we have 10 minutes now for Q&A. Do you have any questions that you want to ask? So yeah, we feel free to put it in the chat, or you feel free to turn on your mic, or you can talk, yeah. The moderator will help us with the questions, yeah.
So here in the chat box, there is one question from Ms. Mai Nguyen. What makes multimodal pedagogy different from using multiple activities in one lesson? So, Professor Ruth, can you answer?
Yes, that's a great question. That's a great question. And I think the difference is this, is that it obviously it's similar in the sense of obviously there are all of these different activities, but the important thing is to make sure that it is sequenced, that you're deliberately thinking about how these activities work together to come to, they're cumulatively building to something at the end, to a performance, to an end product. So they're not just activities, they're activities that are motivated by a design that is leading to, so you're designing your curriculum so that everything you're doing is building to an end product and an end performance. And I think that's, so I'm not saying, I mean, it's obviously that we're using activities, but we're just really thinking about, okay, how do we connect them? And how are they connected so that our learners are thinking about, okay, I can draw on this, I can draw on gesture, I can draw on drawing, I can draw all of these, but I'm using all of these to, for example, make a CD, whatever they want, something, they might be making an album, they might be doing something with this, but having it so it's motivated. And so I think that might be the difference.
Sorry, can I just add one more point to Dr. Harmon's explanation? Like sometimes if we do multiple activities, but sometimes that we just draw from one mode only. So that is, but we know that in our approach, so we use multimodal pedagogies here in a sense that for each activity, we care about different modes. And then like Dr. Harmon just said, it like how we can sequence on the modes in different activities. It's not just like we use a lot of activities with the same modes. Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much for the interesting question, and thank you very much for the very clear answer. So any more questions from the participant? If you have the question, you can raise your hands and I will unmute your microphone. Yeah, so in the chat box from Maverick, he said that so different semantic meaning making resources should be involved. Yes, totally agree. Yeah, a sequence of activities with purposes will have stimulate their knowledge of the language. Yes, and Professor Ruth, I have a question for you. While we are waiting for the question from the participants, so can you suggest me some way that I can adapt multimodality for the EFL classes in Vietnamese context?
Unfortunately, I have not yet been to Vietnam, but I know Can and Tu, and I think it can easily be used. You can, because you as teachers know. You know the environment, you know the resources that your learners have. And so you can easily take other modes, like it could be photograph, taking photographs. That's a huge thing. If the kids take photographs themselves and then they make a story and they build a whole story based on these photographs, that's a really rich genre, and then that could build up into a whole photography, storytelling description of all of this, of their environment. And this could be for an audience, even other students in the school, so you can take what all of these modes and think about what's doable. And what are you also as teachers, what are you excited about? Because that's key. Like I love theater, I love performing. And so as a teacher, I always bring performance and drama into my work. Other people might like drawing, so you bring in the modes also you as a teacher like, and then think about how you can connect them to language meaning making, and then building them. And so then gradually the youth are using different modes, and they're doing this multimodal composing that they're excited about because they're 21st century learners. And so they spend their time in multimodal worlds. And so supporting our youth in the classroom, instead of making it a kind of paper and pen and computer and nothing else, can really be helpful. So I think it's really thinking about in your environment, what are the modes? What are the modes that you can easily avail of? And then you can also bring other people in. You can bring, if that's possible, I don't know, you see, in the Vietnamese context. But, we can we've brought in local artists who sing and rap. And so that becomes another mode that is being used.
Thank you so much for your great recommendations. And I may try the multimodality for my EFL classes this semester. Thank you so much. So I think we can continue now, Professor Ruth, with the workshop.
Excellent. So now it's over to all of you. We're really excited about this part of it because now we will all share together. It's interesting the way this is. Hold on a sec. Sorry. This, I don't know why this is. Here we go. Oh, here. So anyway, so the first thing we're going to do is during all of this, during this workshop, what we want you to do is be thinking about yourselves. Imagine that you were a high school EFL learner in Vietnam for all of these activities. And so to start, Can is going to explain about Padlet, and then I'm going to share a story on there, Can, right? Can has written that up. And then what we'd like you to do here is to spend 5 to 10 minutes thinking about a place. And remember, you're an EFL, a high school EFL learner. Think about a place or a time in school that you felt very uncomfortable or annoyed or sad. And you're going to describe what happened to you, when and where it happened. And you're going to post it on Padlet. And Can is going to explain to you, just in case anybody doesn't know about Padlet.
Thank you, Dr. Harmon. So could you please help me to share my screen? Okay. So hi everyone. So for this activity, you are going to write a story about the time or the moment you feel uncomfortable at your school, right? So if you look at the chat here, so I put the link in the chat so that you can go to Padlet. Sorry, let me see. Yeah, so I put the link in the chat so that you can go to Padlet. And when you go to Padlet, you can see the sample story from Dr. Harmon. So Dr. Harmon will later tell you the story. But in order to use Padlet, you can see there a plus button here. So you can hit this one. And after you hit this one, you will see the subject. Yeah, that will be the title of your story. You can add any photo to your story if you want to. Yeah, and you write about your story. After you're done with your story, so you can hit publish here. So everyone can see your story. Okay, so you can choose your background, your story as well. So this is how you do with Padlet. Yeah. Am I going too fast? Is it okay for everyone? So is it okay? Can you help me to type number 1 in the chat, please, so that you know what you're going to do with Padlet? Okay, that's great. That's awesome. So I see a lot of number 1 now. So that means that you're on good with Padlet now. Okay, so now I will give it over to Dr. Harmon to share her story with everyone. Yeah.
Okay, so if you could just scroll down a little bit, Can, so we see the whole story. Okay, so this is a story that's based on one of the students that we have worked with. And so I'm thinking she is a high school ESL student. And so this is the story that I wrote. So from Lucia's point of view. So I am from Mexico. I arrived in the United States when I was 13 years old, and my parents registered me at the local middle school. The first year I was at the school, I felt so alone. Every time I went to the school cafeteria, the food was always American burgers and French fries or other food like that. I longed for tacos and beans and rice. I felt so far away from my home and my culture. I remember one lunchtime, I felt so alone. All the children were eating American food and talking fast in English. I sat at one table and felt the tears rolling down my cheeks. I felt so alone, and I only felt better when I met another student from Mexico in my science classroom. She helped me to understand the content of the class, and she and I would have lunch together. But I continued to hate going to the school cafeteria. The yellow cheese, the big potatoes, and the fried meat make me feel so far away from my wonderful hometown and cuisine. So what we'd like you to do now is to just take, just use your imagination, because this is key in all of this work. This is all fun. I mean, you want to have fun, right? You want to have fun. This isn't, so if everyone could be thinking of a story based on kind of like their high school, it may be when you were in high school, that because you have that memory. So be thinking about that. And then, as Can said, if you can post it to the Padlet, we can then like look at each other's stories. So Can, we'll give, so we'll be kind of quiet for a little while, right? We're going to spend, yeah.
So we have 10 minutes here. So that put with 10 minutes timers for everyone. So I will have some music for everyone while you are writing. Yeah.
If you're a content creator of any kind, you need to start using Artlist for your videos. I'm Ryan, I'm a filmmaker.
So Mr. Krangui, can you share the screen with the requirements so that the teacher can see?
Sorry, Miss, what you said?
Can you share the screen with the requirements so that the participant can see?
Oh, I see. I will put the questions in the chat for you as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. You show the slide that we had in the PowerPoint.
Professor Ruth? Excuse me, Professor.
Yes.
Can you share the screen, the PowerPoint slide?
So Cam, can you stop sharing?
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Okay, everyone. So I think that you have 1 more minute. Do you need more time, or are you ready to share your story? Okay, I see one story now. Yeah, that's good. Okay, I see some story now. That's awesome. Yeah. Okay, time's up, and we have some story now. I think that everyone, maybe you need 1 or 2 more minutes. Okay, so maybe 2 more minutes for everyone.
Yeah, I think the participant may need some more minutes.
Is everyone okay with the story, or you need sometimes? You need some more time. So please let us know in the chat, like if you need some more times, or is it okay for you?
So if you need some more time, please try number 1. And if you don't need any more time, please try number 2. The participants. Number 2.
Number 2.
Number 2. Okay, so I think they don't need more time. I can see
Okay,
some
okay,
of the
good.
very interesting story in the
Yeah.
But a lot of
And I'm going to stop sharing so that you can share the Padlet.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, everyone, so wonderful. See like that you have a lot of interesting questions here. Oh, sorry, interesting story here. Yeah, that's very interesting, wonderful. So now everyone, so for the next thing, you will be in the breakout room so that you can share the story with your groups. Yeah. So now for the next activity, like you have your story already. Yeah, and now you will. And now what you're gonna do is that you will be in the breakout room now, and in the breakout room you will share your story, yeah, with your members, with your group members. Okay. So now we will put you into breakout rooms now. So we have 10 rooms, so there will be about 10 to 11 people per room. Okay. And you have 5 minutes in your group to share your story. Yeah.
So just one thing, sorry.
Sorry, Dr. Harmon, you want to say anything?
Yeah,
Because
I think, have you broken people up already?
they're still in the main room.
Okay, I think just to explain a little more, essentially, if you can share your stories and then pick one story where you think you could change something in the environment, like if you could change something in the environment, pick that story. So pick one of your stories. For example, in my story, the cafeteria is a problem. And so we can think about changing that environment to make a better school. So when you're sharing your stories, try and think of the story where there can be some change made. And then you're going to be thinking about that. Thank you. Okay, you can take it away.
Yeah. Okay, everyone, so you can get to your room now. Yeah.
So the participant, please accept to join the Zooms that we assign you. Thank you.
We're just deciding, like, we're going to go into the rooms. So
Yeah.
I'll go from 1 to 3. You
Mhm.
go, why don't you go from 4 to 6?
Okay, sure.
Go 6 to 8 and
Mhm.
2, 8 to 10. There are 10 rooms, right?
Okay, there are 10 rooms. Yeah.
So I'm in the first 3, then you're in the next 3, and then Mav, and then, yeah.
Okay, I got it.
Is that good? Are we doing okay? I think people are, I think they, do you think they understood?
I think they're good. They're interested in that.
Okay, okay. So let's, some of those stories were very interesting, so.
That's awesome. So I will go to 4 to 6. Okay. See you on later.
Yeah, you can just be there to support, you know. That's good.
I can type. I can.
Okay.
go there.
Oh, okay. So you keep silence.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
We
Okay,
can talk.
okay,
Right,
okay,
because
thank
you're
you.
the-
Okay. And do we have everyone back? Can, you're muted.
I think we have.
Yeah, everyone is back here. So, okay, everyone is back. You can continue.
Okay, so I think we look, can you just share the Padlet and we can have a look at one or two of the stories? And yeah, and then we'll continue. And I think we'll just do the activities. It's, you know, maybe it's better for us to just do all of this together at the same time. It might be good. So let's just pick one of these stories. Dang's story. Okay, so Dang, do you want to read? Do you want to share your story? Dang. So let's just read this story. So hello everyone, here's my story. When I was a high school student, I always felt a lack of confidence and discomfort when going to the youth union room in my high school, as there are many people dominating me and everything looked formal, particularly my teachers who weren't actually friendly. Sadly, I have to say that since then, I rarely go there. So this is an excellent example, a great story where obviously for Dang, the youth union room was problematic. So now what we can do is think, just like in the story with Lucia, where she felt uncomfortable, in Dang's story, it's clear that the youth union room is a problem. So what the next activity is, and Can, if you can stop sharing and we can go into, if you could show the example of the taco stand. So then what we can do as a group is think, you know, we're going to give you an example, and then together we're going to brainstorm and think about what we can use, what kind of, artifact you can design for Dang. So in this case, in Lucia's case, what Lucia and her team decided to do was to build a taco stand, so food that was coming from Mexico, and they argued for this taco stand, for this food, which was not the American kind of food, but Latino food, to be included in the school. So this was what they argued for. So if we think of Dang's, and if you can add in the chat feature, what do you think could change? And you will know more than I do, because I have not been in a Vietnamese classroom. But what would you do? And so you can see Can here has opened the Jamboard. And so this is, Can, would you like to talk a little bit about Jamboard and why you use this?
Okay, everyone. So you know that after you tell your story, and then you know that in the story you will say that what you want to change, right, in the school, and after that you will design an artifact, like Dr. Harmon just said. After that you will design an artifact, to see that what you want to put in the place that you want to change. Yeah, and for Lucia, so she designed a taco stand here. But for this online environment, we cannot sit together in order to put together like an artifact like this one. So we change it into the drawing. So you can use features of Jamboard here. You can work as a whole group, and you can design the artifacts that you want to change according to that story. Yeah. And for example, you can see that instead of designing a 3D artifact like this one, so you can put it into a drawing like this one. For example, this is a drawing of a taco stand. Yeah, so now I'm gonna share the link here. And when you got the link, you can go to Jamboard. And after that, you can design an artifact here that can put in Dang's place according to his story. Yeah, you can use a lot of features here. For example, you can use pen to draw. This is an eraser, so you can erase something that you don't want to use it anymore. And then you can put sticker, you can add image, or you can draw a circle, or you can have a text here. Yeah.
So Can, are we doing this as a whole group and people are putting in suggestions in the chat instead of going into the whole group? So like ideas people have, is that what we want?
Yeah, it's okay. Like everyone, like you can put your drawing here as well when you design the artifact. Yeah, they can do it as well. So let me share the link for you all.
So what we're asking you to do is to think about an artifact, something that you would design to help Dang out because he felt very uncomfortable in that room and that space. So how would you change? What would you bring into this space? So draw something, whatever you want. And remember, it's use your creativity. Whatever you would like to think of adding.
Okay, that's awesome. So let me show Dang's story again so that you can see, right? Yeah, if you have any idea of any artifacts you want to put in, so you can draw. Yeah.
Just something that you think would help change the atmosphere. No, the dying story, the dying story.
Dạ rồi, các thầy cô chúng ta xem thử đây ha. Ví dụ như với trường hợp của câu chuyện của cái nhân vật ở đây á, thì các thầy cô cũng xem thử coi là ví dụ như mình cần có một cái artifact gì, mình có cần một cái vật gì, hay mình có cần thêm một thứ gì để đặt trong cái phòng này nữa không các thầy cô, để mà làm cho cái căn phòng này nó less formal đi, mà bạn để mà cho cái nhân vật Đặng này có thể bước vào cái phòng đó mà thoải mái hơn các thầy cô. Thì các thầy cô suy nghĩ được cái vật gì, ví dụ như các thầy cô thấy trường hợp của bạn Lucia thì bạn đã cần một cái taco stand, thì bạn đã thiết kế cái taco stand, thì các thầy cô thử xem coi trong cái phòng này các thầy cô thấy là mình cần thêm một cái công cụ gì để cho căn phòng này nó friendly hơn, thì các thầy cô có thể vẽ, các thầy cô có thể thiết kế thêm ha. Các thầy cô có thể để trong cái phần Jamboard là cái phần các thầy cô vẽ nên những cái vật mà các thầy cô thấy là có thể đặt vô cái phòng của Đặng này để làm cho cái phòng này nó friendly hơn ha các thầy cô.
So after we, how much time do you want to give people? And then we can look at the drawings and maybe people can share what they have, why they drew them.
I think 5 more minutes for everyone. Is it okay? Yeah, that's awesome. So 5 more minutes for everyone. Yeah, 5 more minutes for you all. Okay. I saw very interesting things here. That is Squid Games. Yeah, I saw very interesting. Oh, I will go there actually. Yeah, feel free to add any artifacts or anything that you want to put in the room. Okay, you can go to the next slide if you want to have more space, or you can go to the next slide if you want to have more space. Everyone, yeah. So you can see that the rooms is very formal now. Just make it more friendly so that everyone can come, everyone can go to the youth union room. Yeah. Just make something really fun over there. I'm sorry, so just put, I'm sorry, it's better to have everything on one page. So just put your articles on this page, yeah.
And if you could scroll to page 1, because there are a lot of drawings on that page, on the first page. You're on page.
On the first page.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
There's a lot of.
Oh, yeah, I see a lot of drawing now.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't see the first page. Yeah, okay.
So this is wonderful. This is wonderful. You can see all of the different ways that you're thinking of improving the environment for Dan. If you want to share with us in chat or on through talking, we'd love to hear you. No pressure.
So let me ask the host. The host, could you allow everyone to unmute themselves? The host, please.
Yeah,
could
the
you
participant
please?
can unmute themselves now.
Okay, thank you. You know, because previously everyone cannot unmute themselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you. So Mia, yeah, we have Mia. Can you share your artifact?
Yeah, but like my group artifact is in slide number 9. It's group number
Okay.
9. So can you, yeah.
Here, right?
Now number 9.
Oh,
9. One more, please.
okay.
Thank you. So here we put like a bookshelf in the room, so, and some lazy bags, so the students, for example, Dan can go there, and she can sit on one lazy bag and read a book, and there are some other lazy bags as well, so other students can go there, and probably they can have a chat about the books they like. And most importantly, I think they prefer friendly teachers. And some of my colleagues are putting some kind of welcome door, that kind of thing. I don't know. Yeah, that's it.
Okay.
Wonderful, Mia. That's a wonderful example of teamwork and also how you can kind of change the environment. And then thinking about how you would argue for this, because that's then what you would get your students to do, is to argue for this in front of an audience that could maybe change things. Are there other people who would like to share? There's some very creative ideas here.
We have one. We have Miss Wang, Dr. Harmon. They want to share as well. Yeah.
Okay, so hello everyone. Hello, Miss Ruth. My name is Ben and I am from Vinh University. And my idea is on the 7th slide, group 6. So can you please? All right, so here. So I think I can feel Miss Dang's story, because like in the past, when I come to a union room, I feel anxious and worried too, because the room is too big and everyone was there and they have their own story, and I don't feel like I belong into this community. So in this room, I want to divide into smaller spaces with some chairs, and each room or each space will have a topic and some decorations related to that topic. So if I interested into those, I will sit there and just like start a story. So maybe that is a good start to become more comfortable.
That's really excellent, and you can see already what you are doing here is you are already building your argument. That and you could, like, say if you're working with your learners, right? You could build this into a really good argument as to why and how the space can be changed to support everyone in that space. So you have already kind of almost organically started building an argument, which then you would kind of continue to build. So then this design that you have here, and then also your argument, you could go to someone in the school and kind of argue for this and have someone listen to it. I mean, if they have space to change things, even small changes make a difference. So you can see how you are already organically doing this. And so then the teacher can help you really build a very sophisticated argument where you're kind of conceding some points like, well, we won't change the whole room, but what we do want is we want spaces where we can be and feel comfortable and not alone. And so I think that's you've done a wonderful job there of integrating this in with kind of then the next stage, which would be arguing for this. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, okay.
So I think then we can Can, would you like to continue? Will we continue? You think it's a good idea to continue on to the next?
Okay. Yeah, sure. Okay.
Is that good?
Yes, good. So, anyone, do you have any other any other point that you want to share? Yeah. Okay. Okay. Anyone, any other people you want to share your drawing? You want to share your artifacts? So I think group number 1, do you want to share this one? Group number 1, anyone in group number 1, you want to share?
And you know, by the way, just wanted to say this, it's absolutely fine. You see, you can see that everyone was, you know, a lot of people were contributing to the meaning making here. And so it's absolutely fine if people don't want to share verbally. You know, have people building their knowledge through all these different multimodalities, and feel that they can be contributing in whatever way, and then using that in group. So I think that's really wonderful. And you can see how everyone has understood the problem and is really thinking creatively of a solution for the problem. So I think what we'll do now is we'll go, we're going to just talk through the next stages, because we don't have too much time. We want to give you time to think and reflect and ask questions and everything. So, but how we're doing this is we're building. Okay, so we're using all of this and we're building up to arguments. So we've been reporting back, we've been thinking about what artifacts you want to bring into that environment. And then we're not going to actually, Cam, do you think we'll do this, or do we just kind of think about it together?
I think we can think about it together now. Yeah.
Yeah. So here, so let's use, you know, Dang's story. And here then you're going to be thinking about key points in an argument for why your lazy, you know, your lazy, you know, bags and your circular chairs, why these should be included. So what we can do is here, we can kind of like be brainstorming about ideas you have. And if you're doing this with your learners, you will have then, arguments. You want to show people the kind of the wording that they can use and share in this. So to my mind, it is widely argued that so that they're using these arguments when they're thinking of the change. So let's think, and Tu and Maverick, please as well. You can be doing this in the chat. Is can you come up with some good arguments that you would make to the principal of your school as to why the youth room, common room needs to change? So can you just brainstorm and put into the chat? Just take a few moments and then be thinking and throw into the chat arguments that you have as to why things should change, or why the principal would have a problem, because you want to think of the argument against as well in there. So take a few moments, and when I'm going to count to 10, and then everyone, if you can just think of something and just throw it into the chat box. So are we ready? And you can also be part of this too. Everyone can.
Yeah.
Ms. Anne. So arguments for why. So why should the principal change the youth lounge or the youth space? Why? What arguments do you have? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to start again. I'm going to go a little slower. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then share. These are great points here. Excellent points here. So music, there's a less intimidating environment if you have, for shy students, if you have a space. The learning environment being friendlier and encouraging. And so the other thing you might want to think about here is, remember when you're doing this kind of work, also you have to think about how much would this cost? Would it cost this? Would it cost the school? Where would this come from? So you need to be thinking about the costs, very practical in how arguing to the principal about this, not just in terms, but also like how are you? So perhaps cake sale, or you could have something going on in the school to raise money for the environment. So, right, so the lazy bags don't cost too much. Actually, some parents could actually maybe even make them. There are probably some very talented people who could make them. So it could be a community resource. Students raise money from their community. Excellent. Yeah, really excellent. Like thinking about how you would get the money for this. So what you can see is going on here is that you're making your students really think practically of like, how will this happen? If you want something to happen, how is it going to happen? And so in some ways you're teaching your learners to be leaders and to be civically engaged as they're learning language and other content at the same time. So moving along here, I know it's very early morning for you. We're probably waking you up and asking you to do way too much for a what day is today? For a Friday morning. Yeah, it's Friday morning for you guys. We're at 11 o'clock at nighttime here. So essentially, what we want to kind of be thinking about too, and Pam and Maverick can be thinking about this too, is we want to kind of reflect together here now, right? Think about this kind of approach and really be thinking about what we really want to do is your context, the context you're in. Can you be thinking of your context, and can you be thinking about how you would use these modes in your context to raise voices. And so we'd love to hear from you, either, you know, if you want to share or if you want to write in the chat. So how does the use of modes, how do you think it can help your learners? And how would you adapt it for your own classroom context? So we kind of open up the floor for both questions and also thinking about your context too. Yeah. Yeah. So Mia, yeah.
Okay, first I would like to say thank you for this great workshop. Actually, at the beginning, my mind was foggy because I don't really understand what multimodal is. I wanted to ask what multimodal is, but I was afraid that I would sound like stupid in front of so many colleagues. But through the activities, I understand more about like your theory and how I can implement in my classroom. As a learner, I really like the storytelling and then drawing and then arguing, because they are connected very naturally. And this step leads into the next step, and it made me think. And through thinking, and I could use some language. It's like, and it's fun. Yeah. So I like the sequence of the modes. And right here, I just note down some ideas to implement a new course for the students, teenagers, my students. They can think about how to solve some problems in the community, probably about the city, about the environment, and about the school. And yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Yeah, that's wonderful, Mia. That's wonderful. And you know, we're really interested in this kind of work. So we would love if you do that, and if you want any brainstorming or you want to share with us, we would love to hear about this. And it's interesting because when you get kids like mapping, like mapping where they are, they start becoming very involved because they're being positioned as knowers. They know their environment. And so they will draw maps that connect up to their knowledge. And so it's kind of a really neat way of supporting language, expanded use of language, but also kind of in some sense positioning the youth as experts in their environment. And then you can be thinking like they can be coming up with arguments financially. They can be bringing in mathematics. They could be bringing in science if it's pollution or something. So there's all of these areas that you can kind of go into, based on the student interests and the student knowledge, because everyone knows where they live and they know their city and they know the problems. And so opening that up is amazing. And so Mia, we'd love to hear from you again. So thank you.
You know what, Dr. Harmon, so Mia is working with me. So maybe we'll keep in touch and then we'll talk about that. Yeah.
Please.
Okay,
Thank you.
sure.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So here we have
Yeah.
questions from Miss Movan. So Miss Movan, can you unmute yourself?
Yes, okay. Hello again, and my name is Ben, and let me introduce one more time. My name, and currently I'm working at Vinh University, and I am taking charge of some online teaching model. It's quite new. So do you guys know about flipped learning and blended learning, right? We all know that, but it's really hard to implement it in reality. So currently we are building the model for the flipped learning for students here. So you know what, like flipped learning, and we have two I don't know how to say it, but we have to let students study online and offline. So I am stuck with like I cannot like think of any ideas for the offline activities. And I think your workshop is a great, a brilliant, something like eye-opening. Like my opening, I cannot how to express it, but I think it's really a great idea for me to implement this idea for the online, the offline part for students within the flipped learning model. Yeah, so as Mia, I do hope that I can keep in touch with you and can get some brainstorming and feedback from Miss Ruth and Mr. Khang. Yeah, that's it. And thank you for your time and for your great idea and everything.
Yeah, no, we would love, sorry, your first name again is?
Van. And
okay, Ms.
yes.
Van. So no, Ms. Van, you know, wonderful, wonderful. And I think absolutely using, you know, like say getting, for example, students to go around and take photographs, and then you bring this back, it just deepens. So it kind of offsets, because I know online can sometimes be difficult in terms of relational building. But if you start thinking of these modes that the kids are using, or bringing in songs that they've created and bringing that in, it really shifts the whole kind of environment, because they're coming in as artistic or whatever, you know, whatever modality you're using, we've found it very helpful. And so we'd love to keep in contact with you. And Mr. Bui is in Vietnam at the moment, so we have a nice liaison here. And we also have a wonderful new student from Vietnam who's here with us. So we have a little Vietnamese community. So we would love to continue talking. It's a brilliant idea. It's absolutely brilliant what you're saying, Van, in the sense of offsetting the kind of online with these rich activities. And I'll hand it over to another collaborator on this who loves doing this work. Maverick, do you want to talk for a minute? Oh, you can't. Just about like, just extending that in terms of multimodality. Just, yeah.
So can we have your email? So maybe in the future, in the very near future, we can keep in touch and discuss some further.
Absolutely, absolutely. We'll, Can, do you want to put, or I can just do that. Sorry, there you go. There's my,
I put the chat for you.
All right,
Yeah.
I got it.
No, we would love to hear from you. We'd love to hear from you. Very much, Van. See if there's any.
In the chat box, I can see a comment from Châu Nguyễn. He or she said that I like these ideas presented in this webinar. The activities are practical. Students learn the real things. The ideas are highly appreciated, and the design of the learning environment can be implemented if the argument is convincing. So thank you so much for the sharing.
I think that's a really, you're highlighting two important things, that it's not pretend activities, it's kind of like activities the kids really are authentically interested in, and then absolutely then building up to a convincing argument, because you've kind of really been thinking of like, okay, how can I change my environment? Or how can I change the pollution in my city? Or how can I change the way old people are treated, or whatever the issue is? So I think you're absolutely right. And once somebody really creates one convincing argument, then their knowledge of that genre becomes much more expert-like. So you're kind of helping with their language development, but you're also introducing authentic and creative and interesting. So, I mean, it makes teaching and learning more interesting, really, also. So I think that's a really good point you're making there.
Yeah, thank you. And in the chat box, there is a question from Miss Phan Quỳnh Như or Phan Như Quỳnh. I would say that this strategy allows students to personalize, visualize, and improve their critical thinking. I find Jamboard useful with different functions. However, can you share how to access the app? If not Jamboard, are there any similar apps? So, which speaker can answer this question for Miss Phan Quỳnh Như or Phan Như Quỳnh?
Yeah, so maybe you could share about the other one that we were going to use, the other app.
Oh, sure. So we use Jamboard, because it's easy to use and user-friendly, and then you can get access to that, and many people can collaborate on the drawing, doing the drawing. So simply you can go to jamboard.com, or you can go to Google Apps. So in Google, that you can see a lot of options. So that's a product of Google. So when you go to Google, you can see a lot of options like calendar, tribe, and you will see Jamboard over there. So you can get access to that. Another thing that we were planning to use is dog storming. So for dog storming, they have more tools over there as well, and for the student can do the drawing as well. So I put it in the chat for you. That would be dog storming. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, besides Jamboard, we can use dog storming as well. Yep.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Khánh Bùi. Another question from Mr. Khánh Bùi from Miss Hương Nguyễn. Mr. Khánh Bùi, if I teach children storytelling, then my students are using grammar translation method, or in what ways can I teach my children communicatively so that they become bilingual children? I am struggling with teaching English communicatively.
This is a very, very interesting questions. Yeah. So maybe I will answer first, and then Dr. Harmon, if you have anything to add, so please do so. So you will say very interesting, with storytelling, because I know that usually in Vietnamese context, we try to provide the student with a lot of vocabulary, a lot of grammar, and sometimes that we don't have room for the student to do it communicatively. So according to, for example, from multimodal approach, you can use different modes for the student to explore the story. For example, they can read a story and then they can do a lot of drawings related to the story, and then they can tell about the story from their drawings, or they can act out the story. So when they act out the story, they can add some verbal expression according to their gestures as well. So that's in a sense that you help the student to make meaning of the story, and in a sense that you help them to improve their language at the same time, together with using different modes here. Yeah, Dr. Harmon, you want to add anything? Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the one thing that was that wonderful, Cam. I think one thing I would just add is if you can just think about teaching language in context. So you can have say so vocabulary is always within the context. So you can create, as Can was saying, if you do a drama related to a story that they've read, it's within context, the language, the vocabulary is being learned within that particular context. Maybe it's Red Riding Hood, so there's the forest and there's the wolf and there's the trees. So I think thinking of language in context really helps you to think of teaching language as communication. And so, so always thinking of, and so the work we're doing is getting kids to really talk and negotiate within the context of, environment and design. But you could be thinking of, okay, we're in a store, and what we're going to do is we're going to be selling some products. And so everything then, all of the vocabulary, all of the expressions, and all of the genres will be connected to buying and shopping and deciding on the costs and the benefits, etc. So I think just thinking about that can help you kind of, work in a communicative way versus kind of more traditional ways of just, teaching vocabulary, which is kind of hard for people to retain without the context.
Thank you so much for the answer. Participants are very pleased with the answer. So, so do you have any more questions for our speakers? Wow, I can see. From Miss Châu Nguyễn Châu, I think we can cut the stories into different pieces and ask students to put them in order and ask students to read the story and then ask questions related to the story. Students have to read the story again and answer the story in pairs. Can role play the story, the content, yeah. The story.
If the content of the story is easy for you to design the role play.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you for your sharing with the very interesting activities. And from Ms. Phan Như Quỳnh, also visuals or miming may help the children understand the story while reading. Yes, absolutely. Participant? I also have one question for Professor Ruth. So can you tell me what challenges that the EFL teachers and the students usually face when they do such kind of works?
I think sometimes time can be a problem. Time can be difficult because, when you're teaching, you may only have a short period of time. And so it's hard to think about all of these activities. But I think the way to do it, all of you actually have been really sharing these wonderful ways you can do it. I think thinking about what your learners are interested in and thinking about bringing into your curriculum. I think kids love drawing, designing, taking photographs. So bringing in some elements, some other modes that it's not just to replace talking or anything else, but it's kind of expanding so that, you're using the modes to really express yourselves in new ways. And so I think just thinking of ourselves as creative, I think educators, we are creative beings, we're artists. That's who we are. And it's a wonderful way to be. And so I think just thinking of whatever you have, it might be stones. Like, for example, one of our teachers in a class we taught last year, what she did was she got her kids, and this goes back, Fan, to what you were talking about in terms of offline, but she was online with her students because of COVID. And so what she did was she got the kids to go out to their garden and pick up stones and represent the mathematical symbols through the stones. And so they were going out, they were collecting, they were counting the stones, and then they were making up symbols with the stone. So you can be thinking in very creative ways of people using what they have in their environment to learn and to express. So I just encourage everyone to be the creative artists that we all are as teachers. And curriculum can really feel really, it can feel very, very pressured. You can feel very pressured to just teach to the test. But the excitement, even if you only have 1 day a week where you can just break out of the routine and be creative, I would really encourage you to do it, because the learners really appreciate, I think, that approach. So thank you.
Yes, thank you so much for the answer. And here I can see some of the interesting comments or suggestion in the chat box. You can ask students to imagine the end of the story in their own way. Yeah, I think it's a very good way. Yeah, so I may try to apply into my EFL class. Thank you for this suggestion. And from Mr. Nguyễn Cường, my student use storytelling to support them in building a strong argument. Yeah. Okay. So I think that we can, if you have the other questions, you can email our speakers directly via their emails. So we'd like to share our big thanks for your great workshop, Professor Ruth, Mr. Khánh Bùi, Mr. Đặng Tú, and Mr. Magic. We all really enjoyed the workshop and find it useful. And I think we learned a lot from the workshop. Thank you very much for the sharing. And thank you all the participants for being actively engaged in the workshop. And ladies and gentlemen, finally we come to the end of the workshop this morning. On the behalf of the organizers, we would like to say thanks again to our speakers today, Professor Ruth, Mr. Khánh Bùi, Mr. Đặng Tú, and Mr. Magic for your interesting sharing and discussion. And thank you all the participants so much for listening and joining the workshop attentively and sending us a very interesting question and sharings, suggestions. And hopefully you have more opportunities to share and learn from each other in the future. Thank you again and wish you all the best. And now I wish you have a good lunch. Goodbye, everyone.
I'm sorry, just one more thing. Dr.
Yep.
Ruth Hammond also gave a keynote on Sunday morning. So this is also something to follow up with this workshop and also give a general idea about the theoretical framework for the workshop. So also about her work as well. So if you are interested, so yeah, follow her to the keynote. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you everyone.
Thank you everyone. So
Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, so can you stop sharing now, and then can you turn on your camera and we can take the pictures with our speakers today. So, ready? Beautiful. Amazing. So thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy VIC 2021. And time to say goodbye. Goodbye.